On a slow Sunday morning, it is a good time to be going over the big four, the top four crypto market cap coins, Magic Internet Money coins, Solana, Ethereum, XRP, and of course, Bitcoin as well. There's plenty to discuss there. And I do want to preface this whole conversation by saying, while we will be continuing on with a very high term time frame, long-term look of these assets, in the short term, as we went over for Bitcoin, which very likely massively influences the rest of these altcoins here, Bitcoin very likely to kind of pull back into this first week of February. And if it is going to indeed be bullish, we expect a low to be found on Bitcoin probably before the end of this next week. So between now and next Sunday, essentially, or next maybe Monday as well, is where we kind of expect it. Again, it's not a guarantee, but if we're going off of statistics and whatnot, then that would be of relevance. And why I do state that, short term risk can be on to the downside a little bit, sure, but if you are going to be bullish, these are opportunities to be looking for on a major low. So starting off here with Solana. Solana has already come down in the first couple days to that red 5 exponential moving average on the monthly time frame. And as long as Solana is above there, I am going to be long-term bullish, like timing wise, cycle wise, all these sort of things on the higher term time frames. I have a very difficult time getting like full on bearish here or looking for like a major macro high. Of course, it's possible, but things are just on a line in that direction right now. Although perhaps later this week, as just a fun thought experiment, I might try to make my best case to make like a cycle high or a cycle over type argument. But as of right now, I don't think that that's very likely. So with Solana coming down to a major moving average right here, which is our trending moving average, and if you remember for Bitcoin, anytime that you're in an uptrend, you generally expect your lows to be found on that red 5 for those trending moves, not during corrective moves, but of course during trending moves. And Solana would be no different here. So if you are bullish, really should not be looking too much further south below the current low, actually, which was printed in the last 24 hours at 106, or sorry, not 106, 206 or so. Also, if we bring up monthly stochastic momentum, we can see that the pivot as of right now is technically kind of flipping and flopping here like a salmon, but we can see that it'll turn back up by the end of this month, which, realistically just started. But just to kind of keep a big number in the back of your mind, if you are going to be bullish on Solana, 227.5, it would be the number to beat by end of month. I would go as far to say that if you see a rally above 227 intra-month for Solana, that's probably your indication that Solana is going to continue with this overall rally up and to the right throughout the month, or throughout the rest of the month of February, upon that condition being met, and probably even bleeding on into March as well. On top of that, I should go over, what if I'm wrong? What if Solana really is topping out for a cycle right here? Or if it's just getting ready for a much deeper correction? Well, how will you know that? First, we'd want to see Solana below I think this is January's lows here. Yeah, below January's lows, I suppose. Actually, I should mention this as well before we move on to that point. The weekly time frame is actually going to see momentum very likely turn back on up. It is currently pivoted at 213 and about a quarter, and Solana's trading about $0.50 above there. So, a lot can happen between now and the end of the day, but assuming that Solana is essentially here or higher by the end of today's closure, we will see this turn back onto the upside. And again, just another sort of, I would say, confluent factor in the background that suggests that, Solana might have already found the low for the month, in the first couple of days, which would not be bad, or at least I don't think it would be bad. But what if I'm wrong? And what if, and what if it fails to reclaim that 227 level at any point during this month? Well, if Solana is going to have a much deeper correction, I guess the most obvious target here would be, of course, that yellow 21 exponential average on the monthly time frame, and that is a little bit below 150 right now. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. At the end of the day, it's very possible, but again, I do have a general bullish bias here, kind of for the long term, I guess, on the macro picture, if you want to call it that. But weird things can happen. So how would you know that the correction is going to continue on lower? Well, anywhere below January's lows. Yeah, very likely 150. Even if you see, even if you see it like even below like $200, I think that would be rather concerning. But hey, for right now, that is what I'm looking at right here. Again, if you're going to be bullish on Solana, I'd be looking at that as the low. That's where you would expect the low if it is indeed going to be bullish. That's essentially my main point right there. Anyways, moving on, I do want to get into XRP. XRP closing the monthly out on, I believe, new all-time highs as far as closing prices do indeed go. And yes, indeed it did. Going over here to our momentum oscillators, we can see the monthly stochastic momentum continues to the upside as long as XRP is above basically $2. I mean, it's even a little bit below $2 right there as far as the pivot at 197 and change. But if XRP is going to continue, it's kind of similar to Solana in my opinion. If XRP is going to continue, we would really be expecting new highs this month in February. And when I say new highs, I believe we did a little bit of an extension analysis right here. And yeah, the next areas of interest to the upside would be, okay, that is not correct, or at least that is not as aggressive as I want to be stating right now. Yeah, it would be closer to about, or let's go to maybe regular scale. Yes, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, that's much better. That's much better. Okay. Above the current high, area of interest would be about 385 for the next one. I don't think that you'd see a top there. I do think you might start to see a top around like 435, maybe 4.5, if things do get there. It doesn't necessarily need to put in that move this month, but we would be expecting continuation to new highs this month with those areas as like a general area of interest. And as long as XRP is especially above $2, I'm going to be bullish on it as well. It has kind of, not kind of, but it has proven itself here, performing very well when most things, especially a lot of the big caps, have been going sideways at best. So I do look at that as relative strength. Anyways, looking at the weekly stochastic momentum, it should also be known that the weekly stochastic oscillator continues to the upside here as long as XRP is above 246.5. So in the short term, a little bit more upside pressure as long as, I almost say Bitcoin, but XRP is above that pivot. And let me just see what else I have. Yeah, and again, I always want to go over what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong and you see basically below this week's low, where our corrective areas of interest, the corrective areas of interest are very, 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 very likely going to be first around the daily 55, which is, let's call it about $2.50. And if things get really crazy, I guess perhaps all the way down to $2. But similar to Solana, it's like if you are going to be bullish for the month of February, I think you kind of have to be looking at this low as the low, as the low or very close to the low. In terms of price action. Now, in terms of timing, I mean, again, this can take another week to kind of dig itself out. I wouldn't really be making any sort of like super like heavy-handed statements until we've at least gone to day number 7 or 8 of this month of February. But, for right now, again, kind of playing hand in hand with what we have been speaking about. First week of February, very likely going to be a bit of a pullback, but very likely looking for a low during that time as well if things are going to be bullish. Moving on to Ethereum here. Ethereum to me, this is going to sound terrible, but it's true. Ethereum, let me just bring up Ethereum on this chart right here. Ethereum is like the new XRP in my opinion. It just fails every fucking chance that it gets. Like that meme of Ethereum can't pump is just hilariously true. And I'm just saying this as someone who watches from the outside. I don't hold Ethereum. I don't trade Ethereum. I don't like Ethereum for any of those reasons. And here, the monthly did close above the momentum pivot of 3,000. The new pivot has actually moved down, which is typically a good signal, in this case for more upside price action, to 2,900, even a little bit below 2,900. So as long as Ethereum is above there, still I would remain overall bullish. Expecting this thing to make at least another attempt towards the highs, of this year and last year, around 4,000-ish region. But Ethereum, no doubt, is the weakest of all of them, as usual. I know it sounds terrible, but like. And it is terrible. It really is terrible. I do want to quickly look at Ethereum Bitcoin pairing right here. That is just the monthly closing like it's just fucking ugly again. I do think that this thing is getting ready for a big bounce relatively soon, but does it head down to like 2.5 million Satoshis first? I don't fucking know. If it does, I wouldn't be surprised. I'll tell you that. But yeah. Anyways, as far as Ethereum, if if in the short term it does fail, where would be the corrective target? Well, that would be down to the yellow 21 exponential average on the monthly. And I would say, you probably have a move down around there if you close anywhere below your January lows on a daily time frame. And at that point, that number is in the mid 2000s. So, that's a decent move from here, I suppose. Again, though, I would still be remaining with overall upside biases. I just want to be providing these sort of major pivot points because obviously things can fail, but as far as things go right now, kind of looking at this, or I kind of would be looking at this as an opportunity if I was interested in Ethereum, which I'm not. But we'd really want to see this one essentially reclaim the monthly open again by the end of this next coming week. These would be good signals if we see reclaimings of the monthly open, basically by the end of this week. Not like a hard date on that, but around there. Anyways. Last one, we'll move on to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, we'll just look at the HPDR here, not go into super big detail, but the weekly HPDR is bouncing off the 38.2 level, as you can see so far. So, don't really have anything much to say about it on top of that. I suppose this, again, for Bitcoin, similar to all of the other major assets that we just looked at, you kind of have to be looking at the last couple of days as far as downside price action as likely the corrective low if February is going to be indeed bullish. If things do trade lower than this week's low, which is 97,700, then the next corrective target for Bitcoin would be all the way down at 93,500 bucks. I think down around 93,500 bucks, there is going to be like a lot more major concerns, at least for myself. But first things first. For right now, it's finding a bounce off of this region right here, which is good. So that indicates that it is a good pivot point as well. So going sideways here, for the next week, again, would be generally fine. If Bitcoin wants to retest around this low, again, also fine. But we would also want to see reclaimment of the monthly open. I would say by end of this week. And the monthly open, to be fair, is 104. So do be aware of that. But yeah, for right now, holding a bit sideways right here is not the end of the world. I would be a lot more concerned, like I said, if it does come back down below this week's low at 97.7. At that point, you're probably looking at another 5 to 8% correction, which is big numbers. When you're talking about an asset that's essentially trading at 6 digits. So, anyways. That's where I'll leave things on today's video. Just nice and short and sweet on this slow Sunday. I'll be traveling this upcoming week, so we're not going to be doing the Q&A session today. I'll actually be uploading the Q&A sessions this coming week, probably like Wednesday, Thursday, something like that. And we'll go on from there. Anyways, as always, wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully next time.